Dooley from Concierge Golf in conversation with the one and only Henry Doohan, the owner, operator of Donegal Tours. Did I say that right, Henry?
Donegal Tour Guide. Sorry.
Sorry. Donegal Tour Guide. My Donegal Tour Guide. My sincere and deepest apologies, my friend. My sincere and deepest apologies. Anyhow, Henry, great to talk to you. Tell me about you. How did you get into the tour guide stuff? Because with your hairstyle and my hairstyle, we don't have to worry too much about the current lockdown stuff about no hairdressers being open.
Yeah. No, yet. I'm actually going to be happy for another while with no barbers, so I manage. No, funny enough, you say Donegal Tours. That's how actually I started off there. A very good friend of mine, Joseph Mangan, he runs a company here called Donegal Tours. And I still work with him today. We collaborate together a lot. So I have no problem advertising Donegal Tours. They were a great when they were operating. They were a great business. They do private tours, or they do tours around the county for groups. So Joseph, he knew for a bit my background that I sometimes do radio presenting, and I'm a bit of a messer. So one time he was stuck for a tour guide one time. So through a friend of mutual friends, he gave me a call one evening and said, "Would you be able to do a tour? A little bit about history and what have you." And sure enough, I ended up at the front of a coach and was guiding one of his groups around Donegal. And do you know what? We didn't get lost. That was the main thing. We didn't get lost. Everyone seemed to enjoy their day. Nobody booed, and everyone was happy. So after that, I kind of realized that I'm kind of onto something here. I really enjoyed that day. And then Joseph, he said, "Geez, you should try it a bit more often." So after that, I went ahead and got all the relevant licenses, like the SPSV licenses and the limo licenses, what have you. And that's how I ended up creating my own business, Donegal Tour Guide.
And just a matter of interest, the first time around, I hope every single thing that you said was factual and truthful, and there was no fluffing of the information.
Well, I was just, I was telling my wife the other day there, do you know what, for a tour guide, one of the problems I have as a tour guide? I can't tell my left and the right. I can't. So I'll be telling, on your left, you'll see this lovely castle, and everyone's looking at the window. It's exactly on the right. So you have to keep people on the toes. That's the one thing about my tours. You have to be on all faculties there. I don't want the people sleeping on the job a bit. It's always good to have a little bit of a tall story on your tours as well.
Well, Henry, no one's perfect, by the way. Hey, listen, we've all been known to make little boo-boos, but not big ones. The small ones are entertaining, big ones are oops.
Well, as I said, I never lost anybody yet. There's an American though, a guy from Minnesota. He's wandering around Ardara, in the woods over there one day. He didn't come back in time, but that was his own problem. So I think he's having a happy life over there and surviving out in the wilderness himself there. But we'll not talk about him.
I'm sure he's fine. He's still wandering, but it's okay. Hey, Donegal is a nice place to wander. Anyway,
certainly is. Donegal has it all. Yeah.
So how long are you working for yourself?
Well, I began my business back in 2019. So it was just in the middle of the year. I just had started the tourism year there, and I really hit the ground running. So as I said, it took me a long time to get all of the relevant licenses. I'm a Fáilte Ireland approved tour guide as well. So I've got the national and regional badge for that. So once I did start the business, I was surprised how quickly it took off. I got a lot of bookings, and it's predominantly US customers, which I have. And it was just through word of mouth. And, I have a lot of good relationships with a lot of the hotels here in the area. So, reception staff and, some of the visitor centers and things like that, they would always give me a little bit of a shout. So, if there was somebody who needed transport or, a tour, they would have given my number out, and, it kind of snowballed from there. And at the beginning of 2020, I had the whole year ready for going, and, as you know how things happened then, but it was all working out really well for me since 2019.
Excellent. Now, as I look at the picture behind you, can you tell us a bit about that? That looks nice.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually up at Malin Head right now. I've got the cutting edge wind reduction technology here on the microphones, but Yeah, no, that's Malin Head there. One of the most northerly point up here in Ireland. Depends. You're down the bottom of the country, so it depends whether you're starting or ending your journeys in Ireland. You might begin or end in Malin Head. We like to say you begin here, but it's a beautiful spot. It's full of history. You've got all of the geological stuff. Like from there, you can see Ireland's oldest rock, which is out in Innistrahall Island. That's what's like 1.78 billion years old. So it's the oldest rocks out there. I don't know. Have they got a birth certificate for it, whatever that, but somebody found out that's how old it is. It's actually more connection to Scotland than it has to Ireland. That's whatever way the geography of the whole thing is there. But and then most recently, it's the site of Star Wars Episode 8 there. That's where they filmed one of the most recent Star Wars films. So Luke Hamill, what's his name? Luke Skywalker himself. They were up here there back in I think it was 2015, filming not too far from over this direction here. And there's a lot of the scenes there, and in Episode 8 there. So yeah, it's good old advertisement for Donegal.
Excellent. That's great. When it comes to the tours, then for the different, is it mainly day tours that you do, or is it week tours, or what kind of would be you say like a normal setup there for example, for two couples?
Okay.
Because I'd come across or it'd be quite typical for me for two couples to be playing golf in Donegal, and they're asking what would be great things for both couples to do for a day. And
yes.
So it's and that would just be from a golf perspective, but from the touring perspective, do you find it's day trips, 3 days, 4 days, or week-long experiences?
Yes. Well, so I offer bespoke private day tours, so it's really up to the client or the customer or guest I call them, because they are your guest. You're showing them around the county, and you say that 2 is the magic number. It's lovely. I'd say probably about 80% of all of my tours were for couples. So it's just 2 people, private tour, and if you're like myself and my wife. My poor wife has to listen to me all the time. And there's nothing better than having somebody else that you can talk. Either she can deflect me onto, or she can just listen to somebody else. So, if you're going there on a summer, like a trip yourself somewhere, and there's just a couple yourselves, you sometimes get a bit bored chatting to each other. Okay. Even the best of relationships. So when you're out with a couple, when you're with a chauffeur guide like myself, you've got someone who's a native to the Donegal who can show you around all of the spots. And the thing about the private tours is that for couples is that you don't have to kind of try and figure out like a consensus amongst the group. Because like I've had tours before with a couple of Spanish people to be with. My vehicle can hold up to 7 people. So I remember having a tour of 7 passengers there one time, and they were Spanish, lovely Spanish people, by the way. And I had asked them in the back, "Oh, guys, where would you like to stop, or what time would you like to stop?" And I could hear them. 5 o'clock. So at every question I asked them went to a group vote, which took about 3 minutes for them to work out. And that's the beauty of having like a couple with you, is that you can just you ask the couple, and well, in my case, the female or the woman will just tell you where you're going to eat. That's it. So but great. Yeah, like with that as well, like you can go off the beaten track as well with the private tours and a couple as well. So like, if you see something that's not really on your itinerary, you can go off, like, and just see it. So if one of the people there sees something that it takes their interest, you can just take a little bit of a detour, and could make or break their day. Well, more than usually it'll make their day.
And as I think about the golf course, the location, I mean, I just off the top of my head, I know exactly where to go. Between Rosapenna to around the corner, we say up to Inishowen, up the peninsula. Now, could you spend the whole day? Would you? May I ask the question a different way? would you spend the whole day at the Inishowen Peninsula, or would you go here, go there? Um, what would you suggest as a kind of a detour around that area?
Yes. Well, there's the thing. How long is a piece of string, really? With myself, you're out for the day, and it's usually around about 8 hours. Okay, so I'll pick you up from your accommodation. We'll go out. Now, I don't. The one thing I don't like to say is itineraries. I hate the word itinerary. I like to say outline, because we could have something in mind and then totally change the whole day. As I said, depending on what the person wants to do. And even with myself, I've got 3 young children in the house. When I get out in the van, it's, I'll be saying to the guests, "Are you sure you don't want to spend another couple hours?" Because I know when I get home, the work really begins then, So it's like when you're saying like traveling from Rosapenna up to Malin, or up to maybe Ballyliffin Golf Club, perhaps. It all depends on how many stops the person wants to make. If they want to have an hour-long coffee break, that's absolutely okay to me. As long the one thing I always ask my guests, do you have anywhere to be in the evening? Have you got a bus to catch, a plane to catch, or a funeral to attend to, perhaps, whatever? Just let me know if you've got to be back for a certain time, and we'll factor the whole day into that. I'm all about, as you can probably tell, I'm all about relaxed and just going with the flow and seeing how the day goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so mainly I would suggest that I'm sure, if they're on a bit of a holiday, probably the funeral might be the last thing they'll be going to, but it's okay. Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done any day tours in the funerals yet, but that's
anyway. I think I was the so typically around, if we're just talking about the Inishowen Peninsula, typically around there, would you have, let's say, is there 5 must things to see, or is it kind of a couple of things there, and it just depends on what catches your eye along the way?
No, as I say, so with my itinerary or my outline, okay, I do have a few spots I would like to stop on, they're like really showstoppers there. So obviously Malin Head is the pinnacle, and an Inishowen tour. The whole of County Donegal, I feel like you can't do all of Donegal in one day, really. It doesn't do it justice, okay? So I break my tours down into 4 segments. I've got an Inishowen tour, which covers the Inishowen Peninsula, a South Donegal tour, which will take you over to Slieve League. We have a Fanad Island tour, which takes you up to the Fanad Lighthouse, and then also over in the Gaeltacht tour, which will take you all around over where I come from, over in Fulcara and that direction, and you'll see all off to where my dad's from, out to Tory Island. So all these Tory views, and all the Ironmore and all these kind of places you can see over those Gaeltacht areas. But back to the Inishowen point you have there. With an Inishowen tour, you'll see Malin Head. You're going to travel up the Mamore Gap, which is an amazing drive to go up there. We've even got a magic road here as well.
What's a magic road?
Physics fine magic road. Only myself and Paul Daniels knew how it worked.
Oh, jeez! For anybody who doesn't know, Paul Daniels is an English magician. He was fantastic growing up. But anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, you like it, not a lot for but that was it, Paul Daniels stuff. But another place a must see to do, and there's so many places to go. But you've got Wild Ireland. The only place you can see a bear in Ireland, that's a new kind of a wildlife park has just opened. Now, that opened there probably about I think it was 2019 as well. There was a documentary about the show. So you've got wolves, bears, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, but it's except for the tigers. But that's a fantastic day out. We've got another spot, Doohan Village. Now, I bring guests to Doohan Village, and Pat Doherty there in Magella, they're fantastic. Such ambassadors to the area. They've got a fantastic museum, and we would kind of schedule to say you'd stop there for probably an hour and a half or so. But all nearly 100% of the time, the guests say, I could spend another 3 hours in there because there's so much to read and learn about, like all these old antiquities that Pat would have collected, all the old, houses in the Clachan there that he has, and, just all this interesting stuff. And Pat is a great storyteller. He tells a lot of interesting stuff because he actually came from the Isle of Doe there, and he grew up in that area. So he knew all about like the food that they would have gotten from the sea, the working, the emigration, everything. So a great ambassador for the county, as well as Pat Doherty there up in Doe Famine Village. There's wild alpaca ways. You can walk with the alpaca up in Inishowen as well. And there's just so much to see and do up and that's, and Inishowen itself is only a little small, like it's like a miniature Ireland. That's what they call it. It's like it's roughly 100 miles around the peninsula. It's the largest peninsula in Ireland. Right. So there's plenty to see on that one day alone. So I would always say, if you're going to come to Donegal, factor into at least 2 or 3 days anyway, if you can, because there's so much. Donegal has it all for sure.
And how would you compare the Inishowen Peninsula to the Ring of Kerry?
Well, do you know what? How can I say? You know what? I think I'll probably get one of my political advisors to kind of give you that answer there. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want any Kerry men coming up to give me a hard time.
Don't worry about those fellas. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard people saying about Cork and Kerry have all your rivalry and all that. So do you know what? I'll leave you fight it out yourselves. I'll just keep it to yourself.
I'll get out my little violin. Good God, the Kerry fellas, they always talk about throwing their All Ireland medals around the putting greens there because they got so many of them. It never stops.
I'll tell you one thing. That's the thing about Kerry is that they had it too good for too long. That's their days are over, boy. Donegal now is where it's going to be coming.
There we go.
I'll tell you, last year in 2020, I have never seen as many people in the county as I have ever before, because it was completely all the staycation invasion, as I called it. Like, it was fantastic to see. Now, the reports back was that everyone had a fantastic time. As I say, people had Donegal on their bucket list for so many years. They finally got to do it. And they said they'll be back again. So that's great. And that's just a catalyst for like a whole tourism explosion. And as I say, the boys down in Kerry has had it good for too long, and it's their time to shine now.
No, it's been a while since I've been up and around. Good God. It's good driving, lots to see. There is a lot to see. The other part of it then I get questions about then would be fishing. Now, would you facilitate guys there, or let's say, for example, I would have 4 fellas or 4 couples that are playing golf, and on one of the days, the lads want to take a break from playing golf. Is there a chance you could take 4 of them fishing, and where would you take them fishing?
Yeah, that's the thing now. Yeah, so I like with my tours I got, if you're sending somebody off to the golf course, and then you've got the other guys or ladies or men, whoever wants to come along for the day tour. Depending what you want to do, I can facilitate. I can sort out some type of angling, or if it's some other kind of an adventure or whatever sport, I can sort that out as well. Now, with Donegal, there's so much to see and do. But the thing about Donegal, we have over 1,200 kilometers of coastline, the most coastline in all of the counties here. So, although there's so much beauty inland and all of the fishing areas, and you need a license and all that. Mm-hmm. I always try to say a day tour on a chartered boat is fantastic, and there's so many different charters around there. You've got people out at like Seize the Bays out in Sheephaven Bay. You got Tory Island tours out, out the back of Tory Gary, and the guys out in Tory Island there, they do fantastic fishing. You got Paddy down in Slieve League. He does boat tours and everything. So they've got all the tackle as well on board that you can hire for the day. So Let's say, because there's not, I believe there's not that many tackle shops in the county right now at the moment.
Yes,
going out on a chartered boat is, as I say, like, get out onto the wild Atlantic waste. Look out at the coast out there. It's fantastic. You're going to get to see some beautiful sights out there, and get hopefully catch something for your dinner as well.
Well, you could do it. God, I remember I spent 9 years working at Doonbeg, and just for something to do there, as you drive into Doonbeg on your right hand side, between the cottages and the main lodge, there is a bit of a small pond. Well, it's small. It's just big enough. Like, I mean, so they at the time, just for someone to pass some time away, there was you could go down there and do some fly fishing, and we might catch something. You might not catch, and there was fish in there, and so there was a couple of guys that went down there and came back with a half a dozen, and up they went into the bar and restaurant, said, any chance you could cook those fellas for us in about 2 hours' time? No problem. So, I mean, you can still catch them. Still catch them.
That's it. Yeah.
That's fantastic, because and as I say, that would be a lot of what I would come the type of conversations I would have about two people about things to do, lovely things to do. I mean, Donegal is, as you say, it is fantastic. Now, is there with the river fishing? Is that just kind of difficult to get to? So it's much easier to do the sea fishing.
Well, yes. So, like, I find it like, with the chartered boat, you have an arranged pickup place and a drop off place, so you know where you're going to go, what the day is kind of going to roughly look. You've also got like expert guides as well. With the whole thing about going to the inland river fish and all that, like, can be a bit dangerous. Like, I would have public liability insurance and things like that.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you're kind of standing near water and what have you, and all that. Like, so it's kind of, it leads to a lot of
you feel more comfortable with the other type.
Exactly. You just know you're in safer hands with a skipper there who knows what they're doing, as opposed to just leaving them off the riverbank and hoping they're there when you come back.
I know. Part of it I'd be suggesting is I'll take a ghillie along with them, so they'd have their guide and they'd have all their licensing, have all the fishes, bring back all the fishes with them, throw them up there, cook them up later, rock it on, bro.
Yeah, well, it's like, there's a lot of good things. There's a website there, the fishingireland.info, I think it is, that, like, they'll have fishing licenses and all that. So if it was something that a case of somebody had already got their day license in advance, that's absolutely okay. If you've kind of made your own kind of arrangements beforehand, I can manage to drop you off somewhere and all that. Like, as I say,
right.
The day's your day, and we can as a bespoke tour. So whatever works out, we'll sort it out. Yeah.
That's very Henry. That's very handy to know. Very handy to know. And what I was going to say, what have we got? So we got all the various day tours. We got the fishing stuff done. We got any show and so. What's your favorite tour to do?
Oh God, that's like asking what's your favorite child, And I'm not going to fall into that one.
You've got three, so you can pick one.
God, let me see. Now, like, I do like bits of everything. I love the way that, like, I love the way the Slieve League tour runs off. Like, you're looking down around Kilcara and the Muckross Head. When you're driving along the coastline there, and you can see Slieve League off in the distance there, like, you can actually see your goal, where you want to go, like, and with that tour, you've got lots of, like, you're going through Killybegs, you're talking about your fishing, like the largest fishing port in Ireland there, so you're stopping through there, and Slieve League, fantastic day out there. Now, I do love going around the Gaeltacht areas. Sometimes do you know what? I have been known to stop even at my own house, so mommy and daddy can see who I've out for the day as well, and they can, so see if they're behaving, looking after their baby nicely. That's occasionally, because that's another thing we do. And
is that a Daniel O'Donnell trait that everybody brings them home to mommy to show them off?
Well, that's the thing about us, Donegal. We all love our mammies.
Like, listen, isn't that lovely?
We're as a race, we're the luckiest people in the world to have Irish mammies. That's
excellent.
But so Fanad, there's so many, up to Fanad Lighthouse. When you get up to Fanad there's a lot of areas, like around the Mulroy Bay. There's a lot of history around there that a lot of people don't know about. There's actually a kind of one of the most interesting thing there. There's a cross, which is a big stone cross, which has been erected there for the what you would think. You see the cross, you think, oh, you think it's for the, what you call him, the Earl of Leitrim. You think it's in commemoration of him, but it's not. I think it's actually in commemoration of the people who murdered him. So that's the strange. He was there, Lord of Leitrim. That's the correct guy now. The third Lord of Leitrim. He was what we call a bad article. So he didn't treat his tenants very well at all, and a couple of guys conspired and they managed to do away with him. They all got away with it, and nobody was done any time. And it's funny that up in Fannin there's actually a cross there, and again commemorates the area where the guy was killed, and people celebrate the people more than him, which is a bit strange. But you know what? Sometimes, people have good memories around here as well. We've covered in the show and all the great things as well. But another thing as well, East in the show, East Donegal, that gets forgotten about as well. So that's around from the twin towns there in Ballyliffin, Stranarler, all around Raffo, lots of castles, lots of interesting things there. And that's all that you can cover as well with that area. A bit of what we call the planter history as well. So that was to do with the plantation of Ulster.
Yes.
And there's lots of Ulster Scots museums and things around there. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything. So to say what is my favorite tour, do you know what my favorite tour is? Come on.
Get off the fence. Tell us, Henry. Go on, Henry. You can do it.
I will be running for Parliament next year, and I don't want to offend anybody. So I'm going to say, do you know what? You come up, try all my tours, and you decide which is the best.
Well, that would be the thing to do. So to try all your tours is what, 4 days minimum? That's 3 fingers there.
Yeah, if you want to, you can kind of mix and match a little bit. So if it's not too far, you could maybe do 2 days at a push, 2 days at a push, cover 2 areas. But it's really, time is your enemy. If people want to get picked up in the morning and get dropped off at a certain time, we're, I think, the 4th largest county. So a lot of mileage to go across there, a lot of bogland, and, but the bogland, you're seeing all this vast wilderness, even the place out you see Glenveigh National Park, it's desolate, but it's beautiful. I mean, all the blanket bogs and everything here. It's just, and especially for people who are traveling from overseas, like from America. I've had people from Arizona, they're out in the desert and they see the lush green fields, and it's like totally worlds apart to what they know. And so I mean, trying to get 2 days into you get 2 days into into our tours for sure.
That's great, Henry. That's fantastic. That's really insightful. There's a lot of fantastic information there. And by the sounds of the thing, Henry, I know full well that it's 100% entertainment, and I wouldn't be boring in the car with you. As you say,
that's it.
I wouldn't know my right, on my left, on my right.
Well, this is the thing. Do you know what? You want to make sure that, that, as I said to you before, when you're out with a tour with me, you get the tour guides, and who are all about history, and they know all the dates and all. And I do, as I said, I'm a Fáilte Ireland approved tour guide, so I do know my stuff as well. But you're out for a bit of crack,
Yes.
Often I'll ask them, are you sure you still want to drive? Because we might want to stop the pub, But I mean, nobody's taken me up in the offer just yet, but I mean, it's for sure.
You never know, Henry. But as we say, it's all about creating great memories, right?
This is it.
And if it is, and when it is, but it sounds it, when it's always really entertaining, people don't forget. And
that's it. And I'm very lucky that I've as I call my guests that I have on tour, they still stay in touch with me. I get Christmas cards, I get thank you cards, I get photos, and I'm absolutely delighted to have so many new friends in America and Canada and Australia and everywhere. People have been on my tour, so I must be doing something right.
Henry, it's so 100%. You definitely got the personality for it, my friend. 100%. It's not just 50, 110%. That's excellent. Well, I can tell you what. Anytime for anytime. Certainly for the foreseeable future, anyway. Until you decide that you hang up the boots, I'll be looking to knock down your door and say, hey, I got a couple that need your services, Henry. I got a couple that need your service. So, that's fabulous. may I say, thanks very much for your time. And it is Henry Doohan from Donegal Tour Guide. 100% the best Donegal tour guide, if not in Ireland, if in the world. There we go.
Thanks very much, John.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Henry.
All the best.